And we kick off episode 2. Episode 1 was quite lively and interesting. Snuggy got taken to the woodshed by the rest of the players.
And played all the hands. And
Yep.
here's Bill, one of our new players, limping under the gun with the ace-jack off.
Interesting. He was doing a lot of very small raising with a lot of very poor hands, but it did work out quite well for him in the first episode anyway. Here's Snuggy with a good hand.
He's going to get in cheap, I guess, but it looks like he raised.
That's fine. He's on the button with a reasonable hand here to raise with. I like
30
it.
is not quite enough to get Bill's under the gun limping range to fold, though. And Mitzev has a reasonable hand, although he seemed to be after Snuggy a little bit.
Agreed. Mitzev flops quite well.
Snuggy flops middle pair.
Bill flops top.
Yeah, so everybody's got something.
Bill's just going to lead right into Snuggy here.
He leads 105.
That's full pot.
That's huge.
Snuggy has no interest in folding. I don't think Mitzev can fold now either.
Mitzev could raise.
Yep.
He just calls. Bill does have sets in his range there.
Yeah. That card is
good card for Snuggy.
Yeah. Bill still has the best of it. You should probably bet again. It's a pretty safe card. Turns out it does improve Snuggy's equity. Snuggy only was 16% though right now because Mitzev has all the diamonds.
Looks like 125 this time. It's a small bet relative to the pot
It's
now.
An easy call for everybody.
Yeah, Mitzev has to call. He could even raise.
Yeah, that's maybe what he's thinking about. This is a pretty cherry spot for a raise.
Pretty cherry, bro.
Don't you think?
Bro.
Pretty cherry spot. You make it a good 425, you're just going to win a lot. But it's fine to call, close the action, getting an outrageous price. Out of position, it's hard to get paid, though, if you get there.
Well, Snuggy makes 2 pair, but it's not exactly the 2 pair you dream about.
That said, you usually are going to be good. You would like if Bill bets. You don't love
Mitzev's
it.
is going to lead.
This is a tough spot now because Mitzev is the guy who can absolutely have an 8.
Bill
right?
kind of has to fold in between these guys. 250 looks like actually 350, and it's actually
Snuggy has the best hand. Snuggy's played with Mitzev way too much to fold here.
Yeah, and he's just, I mean, Snuggy's not the guy that you want to be bluffing if you're Mitzev because they have it out for each other. They shouldn't be bluffing each other, really. They should just try to go for value against each other, I think.
The problem is, Snuggy's going to call a lot, and since you have the diamonds, he often isn't going to have diamonds, so he has to have something else, which is in the made hand group.
Yep.
Now, and he called a pot-sized bet on the flop, so he has to have something kind of real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if Snuggy's folding a jack once Bill folds, let alone 2 pair.
Right. Yeah, he's not interested in folding today, obviously.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's a pretty big pot for Snuggy. He must feel good after that horrible start.
Yeah, I'm sure it feels great. This is his first truly significant win. Get back on the podium.
Who else is on the podium? And do you get to be on the podium if you are only down 600 now? Is that how you get on the podium?
You just get back on the podium because it means you got to win. So it's like you get a medal. For that hand, he medaled.
So did Mitzev.
Yeah, all 3 of them.
Yeah.
But the other guys didn't. So there you go. But now he's on the top of the podium. Okay, fine.
So Mitzev got the bronze because he lost the most money.
No, he came in second. He gets the silver. He was
the second hand that was still alive, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bill folded. Mitzev was still in.
Mitzev's got a gut shot here, and Joseph has middle pair. Mitzev has a backdoor flush draw as well.
He's going to check through. It's got to feel good for Joseph.
It's not a great card for anybody except for Bill.
Bill picks up a gutter.
And he's going to bet it looks
Mitzev
like.
turns double gutted, by the way.
Yeah, that's a good point. Can't fold.
Whoa, and away it goes. A 6 or a 10 would have done it.
Well, maybe he thinks some of them are, the 10 at least would be too obvious. It'd be hard to get paid.
Maybe hearts is a concern as well.
Yeah, maybe he just didn't notice he had double gutter.
Look at that. Bill folds out a pair and a strong draw with just a normal size bet because everyone believes Bill. That's what I'm seeing.
So far, at least, I mean, Batiste did make that very tight fold on the river against
Yes.
Bill for just a half pot bet last episode.
Correct. Incorrectly, by the way, as it turned out, where Bill was bluffing. Bill's been bluffing a lot and completely getting away with it.
I guess his image is working out for him.
He's in everyone's bedrooms.
What?
You know, he's in their bed. Well, let me finish. I'm going somewhere with this, probably. He's in their bedrooms. He's going through their dressers, taking all their underwear. Wait. That's not a good thing to say.
Is that where you went with it? Wow.
Okay. So he's stealing all their magazines. How about that? Is that better? Stealing all their other clothes, their outerwear. That's better, right?
Yeah.
He's stealing their lunch, okay?
Although
Stealing
it's
their
worth
lunch
more money, the outerwear.
Well, it depends on which kind of underwear we're talking about, doesn't it? Hey, Batiste flops top pair. Not a whole lot of anything else.
No, I think he'll just win this.
Yep.
Batiste likes to check in these spots, and he does.
Snuggy, by the way, his king 9 off.
Thanks for that.
Gutter as well for Batiste. Bill does not take a shot.
Somehow Batiste with 1 pair here has everybody drawing dead.
Yep, it's got to be nice. And that's going to do it.
The end of that.
It was probably normal money to win. Maybe a king on the river would have. Snuggie might have called that, but that probably would have been it. Still nice to get the W. Get on the top of the podium.
Yep, he got the gold that
They're
time.
playing your country's national anthem.
Doesn't
As
really
you stand there,
seem,
tears streaming down your cheeks. Yes.
doesn't really seem like these victories are so valuable since they happen so frequently.
I know. There's so many Olympic sports now.
Yeah.
It's true. Like swimming, it used to be like just one swim, right? And now there's like 50 medals just for swimming, 50 different events. Are you kidding me? Who's the best swimmer? That's all I want to know. One medal.
Any style you're allowed to swim any fashion.
Swim from here to there. Who wins? That's it. It's over. You can do anything you want. I don't care. You can have a jet ski. It's fine with me.
I think that person's going to win.
Well, then they're smart.
We should reward the capitalization on the scenario that has been presented, which is you're allowed to use a jet ski, and you're not using a jet ski, you're a moron.
Yeah, you're fired. That's who you are.
Anyway, Austin flops top pair. Joseph has nothing.
Joseph had open 10-4 off in the cutoff, maybe a little loose, and chooses not to continue. How does he know? Let's see if Austin decides to bet this or not.
It's kind of weird that Joseph didn't continue on this board when he chooses to open 10-4.
He must have some kind of read on Austin to check twice here with 10 high. This is a great board to be betting.
I think he might, because we often talk about Batiste being a guy who trusts his reads a lot. Joseph is also a guy who prides himself on reading players.
You can tell by that smile he's obviously folding here. If he had really thought about it, he might have decided to bet it himself. Although it's hard for him to rep diamonds. It's hard for anyone to really rep diamonds, I guess.
Yeah, he would usually bet diamonds on the turn.
Either player is often going to bet diamonds on the turn, right? After he goes check, check on the flop.
And the stack in front of Austin just keeps growing.
Yep. Sure it does. It's much like an ant colony. Once there's been a natural disaster. So all the people are gone and ants are just really excited.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
No one's going to step on them. There's lots of food everywhere. Just really a burgeoning ant colony.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Joseph, there you go.
10-6?
Can't
no.
play that one.
10-4? Yes.
Even Bill folds the 8-4. No one. Oh, there's a real hand, though, for Austin. Very playable on the button, of course. Digital Dan, did he play one hand last time?
I think he played 2, maybe 3.
He definitely won the first one he played with the King Jack suited.
Terminator lets the 4-deuce suited go in the big blind. That is uncharacteristic.
I know two guys who would not have done that. That would be Batiste and the digital one. Both of them count 4-deuce as their favorite hand. A little fact for you, a little poker time fact.
Different reasons.
Yes. For Batiste, he just really likes playing it. For Dan, that hand saved his life when he was a young boy.
Yep.
Pulled him and his dog out of a fire.
I thought he was drowning.
Well, whatever. It was a really hot day.
Snuggie, I'm surprised. I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised.
Snuggie showing some discipline.
Mitsif's got a real hand, though.
Yep.
So Snuggie's lucky because Mitsif probably was going to 3-bet him.
Go with a perfectly reasonable call here.
Yep.
The hijack. Digital one folded so cool.
Well, here's Terminator making a call that's more Terminator-y.
Looser. Batiste is like, last episode he won a monster pot with this hand.
Yep.
He made the nuts on the turn and got called by Snuggie's ace high on turn and river.
That was nice.
Yep.
This time he flops a gut shot.
Still make a pretty good hand.
Nobody else flopped to anything, so he has a shot to win if nobody bets.
Checks through and king on the turn. Great for Bill.
Great for Bill, and also not a good bluffing card for Batiste if he was going to bluff some turns.
It's a good bluffing card for Mitsif. Mitsif is the guy I'd expect to maybe take a shot here if anyone's going to. Yep. And he does. That's very reasonable. Bill, of course, not going to fold. We know this.
55 into 140.
Mitsif trying not to charge himself too much. I think not to value himself. And
I think it makes sense because overpairs are usually going to bet the flop. Those are hands that will definitely call this bet. So his opponents basically have to have a king to make this call.
Yeah. And Mitsif has a lot of ace kings, king queens in his range, king jack in his range based on how he played it for sure.
But as it stands, he has 3% because of folded outs.
And he does miss. Also, hearts come in. He checks. He's right to check. What can he beat here? A 9-10 that checked back on the flop.
And Bill just checks it back, which I think is actually reasonable considering that
Yeah.
Mitsif was going to bet all of his overpairs in the flop, so we're not going to get called by 9s or something like that. If Mitsif had ace-king, he might not like the heart and just be in check-call mode.
Maybe
Mitsif can have king-jack.
I think he can.
But
But so it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Maybe he can have king 10 suited.
Maybe, but
So
I'm
it's
not
close.
sure.
I think it's close. But it's marginal at best. So it's fine to check it back.
And Mitsif could also have some check raises in his range there,
Yeah.
which would be horrible for king-queen,
Very
obviously.
bad. Very, very bad. I think Mitz played that pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. I think he played this hand really well, too, folding in Jack 5 under the gun.
Yep. He's 2 for 2.
He's learning.
Here's Joseph trying to climb up that podium.
Well, there's only room for one at the top.
Yep.
Each every couple minutes at least.
Bill just folded King Jack.
Why?
Not something you see very often in this game.
That was weird.
It's like a tighter fold. That's like a Wonka level fold.
I don't think Wonka would have folded.
I think he would have in early position against the +1 player who's relatively tight. I think he probably does fold King Jack there. But we'll never know.
+1 is really +2 because right-handed, Jonathan. And look at that.
Still is
Look
+1.
at that. It's right in Bill's face. That king on the flop. It's spitting on him, basically, making him...
Wait till you see the turn in the river, though.
Wait till you see Bill's... Look, he's crying. Did you see the tear?
Austin checks it back. Turns out Austin is the second best hand.
Joseph is going to... It's going to be hard for Joseph to realize his
Yeah.
superior equity here. Somebody's going to bet it, usually.
Well,
but
everyone has ace high, so maybe that's going to save Joseph.
clubs come in. Maybe Joseph just gets to win on a check around here. He does.
Does check, and Joseph just is going to take it down. Everyone had a little too much showdown value to bet, looks like.
Really sucks to be the guys with ace high there. You're like, oh, man, I could have won so easily.
Yes. Every so often there's a pot like that where like anybody takes a shot, they just get to win. But you're like, there's too many players, or I have just enough showdown value, or whatever it is.
It's a small pot. Who cares?
That's a reasonable thought.
Yeah.
It's like a really small pot.
It becomes a thing once you get called on the turn. You're like, well, am I
Yeah.
doing this on the river or not?
Right.
You know?
But you could also just take a shot on the river, but sometimes you're worried it looks a little too face up to do that.
Yeah.
But it isn't.
No.
Especially like three-handed. Like you could hit the 9 on the river and just be betting. It's not crazy.
I think Joseph's phone's going to die soon. I think it's been on super bright the
I know.
entire
Look
time.
at that thing.
I don't think it's once been off. He's got to get a battery,
I mean, he clearly has a battery.
a backup battery. You know what I meant.
The lumens that are coming off that phone are insane.
Those are like lunar lumens on a full moon waxing.
I think lumen is a French word.
I think lumen is not a French word.
So to pronounce it, it'd be like lumen. Lumen.
It's no, we're wrong.
No? Which part is wrong? The way the pronunciation.
Everything.
How do the French say lumen? Mitzvah calls.
I think everything you said is wrong.
Austin with the pseudo-connector raise and top for Snuggie.
It's a
That's
good,
about it.
real good flop for Snuggie.
He's going to lead it. This is interesting.
He's probably rarely going to get called by worse hands, but at least he gets to deny equity.
Yes. And Austin's still in this hand and thinking about it. He does have overs in a backdoor, but it's not a lot.
I mean,
He just lets
Snuggie
it
could
go.
have 4 or 5 here. It's not
Yes.
really worth.
He can have
trying
sets.
to-
He can have 4 or 5. And Austin isn't worried like I might be ahead. It's only, can I take it away later or get lucky?
Yeah,
So
he's
it's fine.
pretty low in the distribution there
Yeah.
with the old 7-8.
Seems like a pretty reasonable fold. A lot of people been donking
Yeah,
in this session so far.
yeah.
Mostly it's worked out reasonably well, I would say, for them.
If Snuggie wanted everybody to fold, then I guess it worked out for him.
Yeah. I think he probably did.
Probably.
He's happy to deny the equity and take it down, would be my guess when you have a hand like ace-6.
Oh, Digital.
Dan, what is wrong? Go to Disneyland, man. Go to Euro Disney. Come back and then
You think
play.
he didn't? You think he was in Europe and he was dumb enough not to take a little jaunt over to Euro Disney? See all the attractions over there?
I want to know what Euro Epcot is like.
It's actually not very international.
It's not?
It's the opposite of Disney World's Epcot.
Top pair for Batiste, middle pair for Snuggie.
It's all Belgium, all the time.
Interesting. Have you ever been to Epcot Center?
I have.
It's a futuristic.
You should see the park. The waterfall.
And Batiste just takes it down there. Probably didn't love that spot. He's almost turning his hand into a bluff, but
Shows the 4 to be like, I got you guys.
I guess against Snuggie, he's just trying to deny equity for the free equity for the diamond. Just charge the diamond, really, is what he was doing.
That's
And
most likely his intent.
totally reasonable. And he was going to check call, I think, a lot of rivers. Here's our cumulative winnings chart. Snuggie down 2.1K, Terminator up 1.2, and everyone else just a little somewhere in the middle.
That might be inaccurate.
This is not right. Bill's not down 535.
No.
This is clearly wrong.
Yeah, that's just wrong.
Software problem.
You touted how the software was perfect last episode.
I was talking about the AI, though, which is ideal.
Explain how the AI would
Digital
allow that.
Dan, I can't talk now. Digital Dan has a hand.
Okay. Yes. Viva Slovenia.
And he decides to flat with the 210s.
It is under the gun who opened.
It is fine. Batiste is almost certainly going to put in a 3-bet here.
And now Dan's going to be in a weird spot with the 10s where he's forced to call. And
he's gonna call,
He's
yeah.
going to have to fold a lot of flops.
Yep. And there's only 110 left to even hit as a set, which is tough as well.
Do you think Terminator will overcall once Dan does call?
I think he very well might. In the old days, he 100% would have. I think he really might talk himself into it. And you know what? He's going to be getting a hell of a price.
He is. It's going to be 160 to win like 450.
Yeah. Dan is Dan? Okay, he's calling. Just for a second, I thought he might be putting in a crazy 4-bet.
140, excuse me.
Well, I mean, I think you are supposed to call right now as Terminator.
Yeah, I mean, this hand has a lot of possibilities, and we're deep.
Look how deep, Digital Dan and Terminator are especially. Terminator could be playing this just to win Digital Dan's stack. That's completely reasonable for 140.
You don't love this scenario as Batiste.
You don't love it really as anyone. You like it more as Batiste now.
I love taking Terminator's hand and turning it into a check raise here. I think that would be a really good play, really cool play, although it wouldn't work against Batiste's actual hand.
Let's see how much he bets before we say anything here. Looks pretty small, right?
260. He's trying to ensure he can get called by hands like Dan's.
235. Digital Dan not going to call a Terminator behind him.
No, but Terminator, I believe, would call if he had 2 10s or 2 jacks.
Terminator might call anyway.
I would love to see Terminator check raise here, even though I think it wouldn't work. He has the gut shot and the backdoor flush draw, and he can rep a bunch of hands here. A lot of sets and king 9 suited.
He can probably pick a slightly better range to go after.
Yeah, Batiste's range is pretty strong there.
He's like has aces, kings, queens, some other stuff too for sure. But a lot of stuff Batiste likes to check back. We see Batiste check back a lot.
That's true. That's true.
So when he chooses to bet there, he's stronger than a lot of the other players.
I agree. I wanted to see the fancy play though.
Yeah, I think it was probably the right play by Terminator just to throw it away.
But it wasn't the fancy play, Jonathan.
No. Terminator was in position. He could have flatted. And
you got to do the fancy play.
With the gutter and the back door and stuff, and then see if you get check 2 on the turn and try and take it away. But that didn't happen. Let's see. It looks like Terminator made it small.
This is a hand he would not have folded on that flop because it would have been a set.
It would have been a great spot. But
well, now he's in a bad spot. Well, we see that Mitsif is calling with Queen 7 suited kind of inexplicably.
Good time to put in a 3-bet, Joseph. It looks like he agrees. Can't have all these people just coming to see the flop. So cheap. Nice big raise. I like it. Terminator forced to call. Mitsif. Can't imagine Mitsif's going to call, though.
Terminator does make the call.
This is one of those spots where you're like, well, I just threw away $40 for no reason.
I don't know why he did that. That was strange.
I think he just thinks like being in position is good, and he's happy to do it.
Well, looks like Joseph should get 1 bet out of Terminator here.
Yeah, I don't see how Terminator can fold right away. That would be bad. This is pretty easy continue for Joseph. He can go pretty small here, too, if he wants. Made it 160 before. Oh, he goes big. Wow.
Well, not that big.
230.
230 into 365.
It's not humongous for a cash game, but it is. It's big sizing for after a 3-bet.
Looks like Terminator's given up.
Terminator reads sizing well.
No.
You know what they call him, Digital Dan, Jonathan?
I do not know why.
He invented in 1997.
Yeah.
Little known fact. He invented the digital spoon.
The digital spoon, and what is that?
Didn't catch on. I don't even know.
Oh,
But he's very proud of it.
now, do you know? Is it an actual physical object, or is it more?
I can't speak to that. I can't speak
is it
to
like
its tangibility.
Is it like a digital asset like Bitcoin, where it exists sort of in cyberspace but not in the world?
It is not on the blockchain.
Okay, it's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is technologically related. That's what I've heard.
Now, are there other digital utensils?
Hold on a sec.
Whoa.
Snuggie flops the nuts.
That's about it, though. There's gut shots for the other players.
Yep.
Did Snuggie bet super small? He did.
25.
Terminator forced to call.
The professor called as well.
Terminator absolutely has to call.
Oh, by
here.
the way, Bill's changed his name to the professor.
Oh, yeah.
That's
We don't know why.
it's a fun new change.
Sure. He doesn't really look like a professor. He looks more like a fighter pilot there, like fighter pilot instructor.
He should be the fighter pilot then. Well, that's a bad card for Snuggie on the turn, by the way.
I mean, it's actually not that bad in that, like, I like that he sized it up a little. I mean, he sized it up. It's a normal bet on the turn, really. But, like, you're really praying someone has a 9, right?
Yeah.
Someone could really have a 9 there and suddenly have trip 9s and be married to
yeah,
the
no, that would
hand.
be good. That would be good.
So That could have been all right.
He just doesn't have the nuts anymore, and it's the most likely full house completing card.
Yeah, but usually you're going to get raised when people have 2 pair. He bet 25
Yeah,
into
you're
a
right.
big pot.
No, it's probably fine.
Yeah, I think like a Snuggie, we have to bet and not fold on the turn no matter what happens. Well, almost no matter what happens, of course. Both players could get all in front of us. We could decide to fold sometimes. Mitsev is going to put in a perfect 3-bet, meaning he's got Snuggie dominated.
Pipped, they call it. The professor. I don't know if I can get behind that. You know?
You're going to have to get behind it. We tell them they can call themselves whatever they want.
It's not whatever they want.
It's not?
I mean, if somebody came in here and was like, put my name as Hitler, we're going to just do it?
I will admit I hadn't thought of that possibility. Snuggie flops open-ended. Mitsev with the gutter and ace high. It goes check, check. Mitsev turns double gutted. Everyone's got a lot of outs. Mitsev, of course, also has the best hand.
Only the player who's behind has outs, Jonathan. That's just technical knowledge.
That says you.
You're like one of those guys.
No. Mitsev like hit his like 36 outer.
You said
on the river.
You said
Hit a 36 outer on the river.
You said everybody's got a lot of outs.
Yeah, Mitsev just hit his 36 outer. One guy had like 8 outs. The other guy had 36
No,
outs.
outs imply that you're behind. It's
To
getting
you, not to the mathematically inclined.
So when you see you're playing at a poker table and
Yeah.
somebody has queens and they go all in and
Yeah.
they get called by jacks and somebody says I folded one of your outs to the guy with queens
The
because he
guy's
folded
like-
a queen.
I actually-
You agree with that?
I've actually seen people do that.
So you agree with that?
I mean,
Just like Dan does pre-flop.
I don't feel comfortable commenting. on that.
Okay.
Can we get back to the other jokes? Yeah, no, I can't. I can't agree with that.
The professor's gonna just limp the 10-8 off.
Digital Dan showing some hardcore discipline, pulling the king deuce off.
Yeah, that's serious stuff right there. Batiste could have made it 100 and shown everybody who's the boss with his 7 deuce.
That'd have
he
been
is
cool.
a big deal.
If he said, "I must be Tony D'Angelo," Tony Dan, Tony Danza right now because I want to show everyone who's the boss.
Yeah,
That'd been
that's a
cool.
pretty cool thing to say if you win with 7 deuce. Professor's just going to win this hand with aggression, I think. I don't see any way
yeah.
he goes
Batiste
differently.
could turn his hand into a bluff if he really wanted to, and that he has all the 5s. So does Terminator, really, but that's
7
generally not a good idea. And I like this fold.
We got to get the 7 deuce game going on Poker Time sometime.
It's hard to do, actually.
I know, but
With
I
our
want to.
current software
I want to
setup.
do it though.
I know, me too. Me too. I want to do a lot of things. Look at that beautiful split screen view.
You love that so much.
Oh, I love knowing
it's just
more.
Mitsev and Joseph on their phones with hats blocking their faces, and then a person shuffling cards.
We get more information. You know, it's the difference between like someone driving and autonomous driving. You have 2 eyes, that's all you can see. The car has all the eyes. It's looking everywhere. It's got like 50 eyes. What would you rather have? I want 50 eyes.
Okay.
I'm looking into that, by the way, just for myself personally.
Yeah.
50 eyes.
We're gonna put them like on your forehead.
I'm not sure.
How big are they
Not
gonna
on
be?
my forehead. That isn't going to help me much if it's on my forehead. I need it like behind my head.
You'll
and
have extreme.
on my elbows.
You'll have such extreme depth perception, though.
Interesting point. Well, with 50, I guess I can really put them all over. It'd be like freckles, really big freckles. That
Oh, this is disgusting.
ocular.
This is not a good image. The
Batiste.
professor is playing
Oh,
a lot
look
of
at
hands.
Batiste tightening up a little bit there. In the old days, he definitely would have called that.
Joseph, I imagine, is going to call the 4s here. Just taking a moment to make
Yeah.
sure.
Did Snuggie? Snuggie did find a fold. Okay. Professor's got to not love this spot right now, but if he decides to continue as he's been going, he's just generally been betting
Snuggie
all
did
these.
call. Snuggie did call.
Oh wow! Oh, then Snuggie's got top pair.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be harder now. He does have no kicker, but Professor's gonna have to show
Nope,
a lot.
Snuggie didn't call. I don't
Okay.
see cards. We just don't know. Oh, wait, he
No,
did.
he has him. Okay.
There it is.
Well, Snuggie can't
What?
fold. Why?
Man, something about the
What
professor.
is going on?
These guys really believe him every time. He's been believed every time he's bet.
We saw Snuggie call turn and river in episode 1 with ace high. He just folded top pair to 1 bet on the flop.
That's weird.
We saw Batiste fold top to him on the river. We've seen Joseph folded a pair to him. We've seen all these people just folding. Has the professor ever actually had it? I don't know if he's had it once.
He might not have.
This is
No, he had-
amazing.
well, he had ace jack that he ended up folding once. When,
Okay.
Snuggie had 2 pair.
Yeah, fine.
So he kind of had it for a second.
Yeah, but basically he's almost never had it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's bet a lot.
And look at this. Now he's limping 5-4 off +1. He feels invincible.
I think he's sort of like the. I hope Digital Dan puts in a raise here, not a call. There you go, Digital One.
Some win.
There it is.
55. All right. This is going to probably get rid of the riffraff.
Yep. probably the professor's not going to be able to call either, which is, wait, he's reaching, but can't be professor. Oh, I'm wrong.
He's calling. Wow, that's just kind of a bad call.
And now Austin feels obligated to call as well. And Digital Dan still has 40% equity, but not much more than these other two guys.
Nope.
And less now.
Look at that. The professor outflops it. The world, and looks like he's going to bet his bottom pair. This is ambitious. It happens to be correct in that he has the best hand, but I can't imagine this is a profitable play over time.
Austin was caught in the middle there. I think he would have called if he didn't have Digital Dan behind him with the gutter at the back door and position. Digital Dan not necessarily going to believe the professor. By the way, this could really work out for the digital one anyway if he decides to bet 1 check 2 down the road here.
Yeah, he's going to have to
Turns and
bet
rivers.
1 check 2 some of the time to make it profitable, though.
Yep. Professor checks. Even just to charge him for his draws, it's reasonable to bet here instead of just give him the free card.
He does have the queen of clubs as a blocker to that
He does check
backdoor
it back,
flush draw.
though, and well, that makes
The professor is
5-6.
betting, Jonathan.
He's bluffing. He's trying to bluff out a 7 or 10s or something, I guess.
I guess, but Dan raised pre-flop big. He doesn't have a 7. He might have 9s, 10s, 8s.
Yeah.
Well, the 8s is bad. So he's basically just trying to bluff out 9s and 10s and a jack.
It kind of, I mean, Dan is almost always betting a jack on the turn, if check 2, right? So Dan rarely has a very strong hand here.
The backdoor flush draw came in, though.
Yes. But Dan's trying to think, how can Professor bet this? 5-6. That's how he bets it.
Yeah.
Dan. Is Dan going to make a call?
He's gonna.
He's
yeah.
wow!
The one time they didn't believe the professor, they were right, but it was a call that was with a slightly worse hand.
Wow! Look at Dan.
Look at Dan's face. It's the same face he made after he went to Bill Gates with a digital spoon, and Bill Gates was like, "This is trash. Get out of my office."
What am I going to eat with this digital oatmeal?
Yeah,
it's not a thing.
And Dan has to live in a world where people just don't have the same foresight as him.
Yeah.
The year 2028, I think the digital spoon is really going to become a thing, and Dan's going to be like,
Finally.
I told you guys.
Yeah. He doesn't have any financial stake in it anymore, to be clear, but he has a lot of ego stake in it.
An
which is a
emotional
lot.
stake.
Yeah,
It was his baby.
of course.
The professor's playing everything now. He's just going bonkers.
I mean, he can't believe he won that last one, right?
He's going bananas. He's like, it's free money.
See, Professor did something correct, though. He was bluffing on the river, got called, and didn't just muck his hand.
Yeah,
I know he
that
had bottom
was-
pair, but he has to believe he lost, right?
All right, I think he's going to get squeezed out of the pot here by Batiste, who makes it a 180.
Yes. I think everyone's getting squeezed out of this pot. There's no way Terminator's going to call this, right?
Not
Right?
usually.
Nope.
We've seen him do stuff like that, but he hasn't been playing that way this session.
No, actually, I would say the last few sessions, he's really tightened up a little bit and playing a little more carefully when shown, like when people are betting big and trying to be a little more price sensitive. I think that's mostly worked out really well for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Terminator cares a lot about the type of player he's playing against. He makes a lot of decisions based on who he's playing.
Yeah.
He does. He pulls the trigger. He doesn't have to have them.
Which is certainly something you should probably do.
Sand in my vagina, I guess.
Agreed.
From last week.
We haven't seen too much out of Austin this episode, but he had a very good first episode.
Writing down on my hand. I'm gonna write
And
down
now Terminator has a hand he will not fold to aggression.
just to see if I'm like.
You have memorized so far?
No. I had like 3 premiums that first.
He hasn't written anything down yet.
When he watches it in a month and a half, he's gonna
I
write.
think it looks like he's reaching for
No, I had
3
the
bet.
first one.
That's good news for Terminator. Well, Nines is doing decently
Did
well
he
against
3-bet
this.
it? He
Looks
did.
like he did. 155.
They're both pretty deep, so I would expect Terminator's probably just going to call. He could have put it on a 4-bet too.
He could, but we've seen Snuggie just 5-bet shove with pairs before just because they're pairs, and you
Yeah.
don't want to be in that spot with Ace King.
I mean, you're just going to call.
I guess you're just gonna call, but
That's it. You're just
This-
going to call and see what happens.
this is a good flop for Terminator.
Yep. Snuggie does continue. I like the idea of just calling here, Terminator.
Yep.
And he looks like he must raise because
Yep.
Snuggie. Not frozen. Oh, Snuggie just calls anyway, though, so
It's
that's
a
good.
very small raise.
It is.
Although what
That's a
could
pretty
Terminator really have?
It's a pretty safe turn.
Snuggie's probably gonna fold now, right?
Let's see how much Terminator bets on the turn.
No, he spilled a drink.
400 now. It was only 300 last time. You're getting a way better price this time, and that deuce does not change anything. The only thing we know now is Terminator decided to continue after he saw us call as Snuggie. Whoa, is he going to show a card?
He actually is not getting a better price because it was a check raise over 125 to 300.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna turn one over. And
That's
see
fair.
what you're buying, I'm about to have to introduce customs. This is Wild West, right?
Oh, it's not going to show a card. Oh.
That is close.
Whoa.
That is close to punishable right there.
Whoa. It's a cash game. You can get away with a little bit more. They are all friendly, but whoa. That is definitely against the rules of etiquette, if nothing else. The etiquette of poker. to touch someone else's hand. I've never seen that, I don't think, in a live spot before in my
He
life,
even
Grant.
slightly lifted it up, like you could.
Slightly.
There could have been a perceptible edge of a card or something there.
I think it would have been obvious if he had lifted it up enough for that, right? He was just messing. It was, to be clear, I'm sure he was just messing around.
Of course, of course.
I don't think he was trying to see anything. I don't think he did see anything. But
You got to tread lightly when you're making jokes like that, though. You can get in penalty land. You can have to give the pot to that player sometimes.
I mean, I'm sure in his mind he was folding, so
Yeah.
that's why he did it. He's like, what's the worst thing that can happen here? But wow,
Then he was mad at
Well, that was interesting.
yeah.
Nice pot for Terminator.
I recently had somebody touch me when I bet the river, and they were trying to decide what to do. They like put their hand on my shoulder.
That seems
It was really weird.
unethical.
Yep. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to give anything away. I was bluffing, and they sort of like looked around, and everyone sort of looked at them like they were insane. And the guy said something like, "Am I not supposed to do that?" And I guess I'm not supposed to do that, and took his hand off me. And I was like, I didn't say anything because I wanted him to fold.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah. It was weird.
That's a good rule. When you're playing live poker, don't randomly just touch your opponents.
Either their chips, their cards, or them. Stay off of
don't
all
just rest
anything.
your hand on their face or anything like
maybe
that.
respect like a few feet of space between them and all their stuff and you.
Yeah.
At all times. How about that? Just assume there's a little force field around them.
Jonathan seems a little salty right now. He didn't like that touch.
It was
the
weird.
It
It was
was
weird.
a bad touch.
I'll show you on the doll where it happened.
You love that joke so much. Gets you in trouble every time.
I know.
Terminator, I think, blind raised under the gun here.
Yeah.
Put it in, it's over.
So Batista, I think, is probably just going to fold this hand, even though Terminator with the blind raise, just because it's a little too early position. Yeah. Snuggy raises up the ace-10, and you see Batista immediately celebrates. And turns out he was dominated, too. A lot to celebrate.
Professor is definitely going to play this hand.
He really should. He needs to recognize the situation. This is actually a relatively good candidate for a 3-bet as well, to knock Terminator out.
True. We don't block anything Snuggy could have, but it is Snuggy.
It's Snuggy. This hand plays pretty well heads up in position, much better than 3-ways and with the initiative.
Yeah.
So I think I like a re-raise better, but it's fine to call. Certainly. We just can't fold to every flop.
Well, that's a pretty bad flop for 2 8s without
3
a heart.
hearts, yeah. Snuggy has the key card, the ace of hearts, as well as some backdoor possibilities.
He's just going to lead right into everybody, and I think that's just going to be the end of things. It's almost a pot-sized bet.
Yeah, there's just nothing anyone can really do here. Snuggy, by the way, isn't leading. He was the original.
Oh, that's
Raiser.
right.
He's just continuing.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
But then he gets to show the key card, and everyone says, yeah.
I got the whole idea of the Professor 3-betting in my head until the point I
Right.
thought it actually happened.
Sure, that happens a lot with you, I think. You get something in your head, you're sure it's real. It's not.
Like,
The bean incident.
there was a bean.
Okay, Grant.
You're saying I was just chewing on air.
There was no bean.
It was.
We have video of you chewing without there's no bean in your mouth.
It
It's
was
very
the
clear.
biggest bean I've ever seen. It was a foot in circumference.
Yeah, I'm sorry for bringing this
It was
up.
delicious.
It was
It was a kidney bean.
Mitziv with 2 5s. Just limps.
Oh, is that why when I put salt on it, the salt fell on the ground?
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
Oh, I'm having a moment of realization.
Did Austin raise? Austin raised, and Digital Dan called,
Oh, he accidentally
and then
he accidentally completed. He thought it was just a complete.
yep. Well, Austin made it. Looks like 80.
There's all
75.
sorts of stuff going on.
Yep. But here we go. Austin made it 75. Mitziv is going to call with the 2 5s. And did the professor stick around or not? I guess we'll find out soon enough.
That's an incredible flop for Austin,
Yes. Professor did fold. It's just heads up here, and Austin flopped the whole thing.
and I don't think Mitzv's going to continue.
This is not the worst board to call once, although,
Well, he's going to call.
as you often like to point out, and it's definitely true, is small pairs are not great for continuing.
Right. And now it's just a disaster.
Yeah.
Mitzv is drawing dead. Austin's going to keep betting. I like to continue betting here.
Yeah. Especially as Austin, who's been pretty aggressive this whole session. Mitziv clearly has to fold. He's looking to see if he has a spade, but it's a club, and he's lucky it's a club. He might talk himself into calling once if it's a spade, right? Where he can have the best hand or the only spade draw.
Yeah, but, sometimes it's a situation like this, and
Yeah.
it's real bad.
Yeah.
Or
If
right
another spade
against,
comes, though, it's going to go check, right? I mean, usually Austin's not gonna
Usually.
go for
But Austin
value.
could have something like King Jack with the King of Spades as well,
Oh, yeah.
which would be a real problem.
Real bad.
Tried to call, but
Real bad. So Mitziv gets away from it.
That's good. Like to see the Mitzv get away from the bad hands sometimes,
You root for that guy, don't you?
Yeah, the Mitzi.
Here's
Funny when someone else
Snug. Snugworm. The Snugster. Snuggle ding dong.
Yep.
Snuffleupagus.
Yep. Well said. Mitzvah's going to limp king 5 suited. I guess he got
Mitziv is in the
bored.
limping.
He got bored.
And Joseph limps 7s behind him.
And the professor is going to raise 10 deuce off.
Well, everything has worked for the professor
Yep.
pretty much this entire game. So Austin was thinking about a 3-bet there for sure.
I think there might be enough evidence. I mean, it's a small sample size, but the amount of hands professor's been playing, you can't really have it every time. You can, but it's rare.
It's rare. And we got to the one thing they got to see, the one showdownable hand, he had bottom pair when
Yeah.
he went bet, right? I mean, like, come on. The table should be picking up on this, but it's possible, you're on your phone, you're involved in other stuff. If you miss it even a little bit, it's just over. Mitziv with the best hand.
The professor's going to win, though.
Professor is going to continue.
Joseph has a spade with his 7s,
Now,
but that's probably not good enough.
Please tell me, Mitziv isn't going to fold top pair. We've just seen too much folding.
Another
Top pair
bet
against
might
this
do
guy.
it, though.
It's not comfortable, and especially if it's a spade.
Oh, yeah. It is
Ooh,
the
that's
ace of spades.
The best possible card for the professor to continue on here.
Oh, he just gives up, though.
Wow.
Mitziv does have plenty of flush draws
But
in
no,
his
professor's
range.
now going to bet, and professor could really have an ace here.
Oh, yeah, he's betting 200. This
And-
is going to work, right?
Mitziv also, his kicker, his kicker does play. I mean, he plays the 8, but if professor even has a king jack here, he's losing to it. I don't know if professor's betting king jack on the river, but he might be.
I doubt it. Come
After
on.
Mitziv checks turn and checks river, Mitziv almost never has an ace. He never has a flush.
Do you think in practice the professor is betting?
I
king
honestly,
jack?
he bet 5-4. I don't know what the guy's doing.
That wasn't a
I
value
know,
bet.
I know. Well, I'm saying we don't know what his value betting range is because he hasn't had any hands to
We
value
saw him
bet.
check back the king-queen against Mitziv the other time when Mitziv had ace-queen.
We did. That was when the river made the third heart, though, right?
Sure.
So I'm just saying that's a little different.
Turn made the third spade, also king-queen. Much more powerful of a hand on that board than king-jack on that board.
Right, but then his opponent, he got to be in position and see that his opponent checked twice. Anyway,
You're wrong.
I know you often feel that way. Terminator on the button with ace-3 suited. Gonna call.
Austin
Wow.
getting a little out of bounds here.
I guess he feels like the professor's just playing way too many hands, which he is.
He absolutely is, yeah.
And so Austin's trying to punish him for that. However,
You should punish him with a hand that is better than 5-4.
there's going to be lots of opportunities that where you
Punish
actually
him
have
with ace-8, you know?
Exactly.
Like a hand you wouldn't usually play, but...
most aces, lots of suited kings, all sorts of stuff that have reasonable equity when called. Because there are also players do show up behind you. Now you have to play against Terminator out of position.
Jeremiah?
Not great.
Jeremiah says it's the last hand.
Oh, thanks, Jerry.
He doesn't like that.
It's a pair for Austin and a gutter for the Terminator.
Austin's going to c-bet, it looks like.
Yep. This is probably going to work. I think if there was a heart... Oh, apparently it's not going to work. Terminator's going to call. If there was a heart on the...
What do you
flop-
mean it's not going to work? He just got called by a worse hand.
Okay, that's true.
He has 3/4 of the equity.
He wants everyone to fold. He wants Terminator to fold right now, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he definitely does now when
Yeah.
the king comes and he keeps betting, and I think it's going to work.
Yeah, Terminator can't call again. He makes the correct fold, and that is going to do it.
That was a fun episode, and Austin's been doing quite well.
Yeah, we will see you guys next week on Poker Time.